Ruth McCracken and Trisetta Washington, two top-notch career and business strategists, are here to help you defy standards and break boundaries. Join them as they share powerful insights that have already impacted thousands of people and will have a major impact on your career, life balance, and business.
Hey, great day. How are you, my friend? Listen, we was having a big old party, a retreat. I would probably call it more of a retreat. And as you all are coming in, how you doing? First of all, Trisetta, welcome to our Breaking Boundaries.
Good to see you. As always, you're looking radiant.
Oh, you're so sweet. And you are just coming in while we're trying to stay cozy. It is cold, you all. I'm telling you, I am not going to tell myself that it's cold to many of you all, because many of you are, as you're coming in, you're coming all over the country. There's part of the country that's at a negative 15. So I'm going to keep my cold comments to myself. Because it may not, you're probably thinking, well, I'm here in this heat box right now. If I go outside, I may not be feeling the same way. So nevertheless, let you all come on in and go ahead and listen. We are going to have an amazing time together. It's going to have some little bittersweetness into it. But the reason why, because breaking boundaries is all about having you take the opportunity to go ahead and just usher in the authority of you to start transforming, to start believing, to start becoming this better version, this bigger, better version of you. So while you all are coming in, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. I do want to take a moment while you are sharing and liking that we have some breaking news to share. Yeah, so you may want to stick around. In fact, you're going to want to stick around because it's definitely going to share with you on how this navigation of this journey with breaking boundaries is going to tip off for the remaining of the year. So for the meantime, let's go ahead and jump in. If you missed the last episode, you may want to even go back, my friend, and definitely tilt your hat and laser zoom in and even hit the replay. We talked about happy endings and new beginnings. Because we're in a state of, Trisetta, help me out here. I know that oftentimes when, even in your personal, your professional, whether it be at work, in your business, or with your family, certain things come through unexpectedly. And how are you being able to go through that process and still recognize it as a happy ending to a new beginning, whether it be going through a transition at work, whether it be maybe your business has it's declining or maybe having some sort of downstream impact, or your company is going through some sort of change management. Listen, that's why you're here. We talked about how to be able to go through some of the life continuous journeys like I said, in our part 1, and how to overcome some of those challenges and how to go through it with well-being and creating new relationships. But this one, my friend, where we're talking about part 2, is we're wanting you all to understand, after happy endings and new beginnings, guess what? Let's go ahead and rewrite the rules to new year and new alignment. You want to be able to release that. Who's with us? Who's with us and wanting to go ahead and make a release and make what I like to call a declaration to yourself that's no more holding on to what maybe is not serving you?
Yeah. One of the things that I think we tend to focus on when it comes to kind of the start of a new year or just kind of new beginnings in general is we tend to focus on kind of like the negative thing. When something negative happens, right? You get laid off, or you have a loved one who passes away, or maybe you have an ending to a relationship. And we tend to really focus on that and say, oh, it's a new beginning, look at it as a fresh start, a new beginning. Right. But you can also experience this as you elevate, right? Breaking boundaries is all about breaking free from old you and stepping into the you that you really desire to do, to break through those things. And one thing that I don't think people talk about enough is how, as you start to grow and develop as a person, you come out of alignment with people, places, and things that once were a support and a place of safety for
Yeah,
you. And so today we're going to be talking about how you can, how you can start to identify the things
yes.
that aren't serving you so that you can hopefully make those decisions on your own rather than those decisions being forced on you, right?
Being forced on you. And if it is forced on you, how do you navigate through
Yes,
that? Because some of the things is out of your control. Am I right?
exactly.
And it's not going to be fun. So while you all are joining in, as we are basically, now we're in the third week, wrapping it up closely, it's only natural to find yourself drawn into the ideas of fresh start. So we talked about, because it grieves my soul, it really does, when immediately some people may be masters around it or still working in progress, or they just know enough to balance but sometimes find themselves stepping back, but just because they don't have the right tools or know the right direction on how to accommodate or how to balance and how to adjust when things significantly changes in your life and as well as in your business. So let's talk about that. When we see the significance about happy endings, we want to hold on to what we would like to describe, right? But in this case, let's talk about how we're wanting to release some of this and renewing our mind. You and I, Trisetta, you and I know that as behold, old things have passed away, and as we now walking in, now we're creating a new creature, a new being of ourselves. We're dying from self, old habits, old patterns, and we want to walk in. So let's talk about that. Identifying what ways can identifying what no longer serves you. How do one know that? Because you might be comfortable at your job. You might be really great at what you do. How did you not recognize the writing on the wall? And then if you didn't recognize it, how do you then go through that? How do you identify what no longer serves you even after the math? Because that's where we're at. So let's talk about it. Importance of self-awareness. So being present. Self-awareness is not just a foundation to your personal and professional growth. It's also what's key and essential. It's something that you want to be able to weave in on your day-to-day. Recognize what no longer may be part of your inner circle. And most importantly, even when you thought they had your back, even when you thought the company that you committed almost a decade to had your back, what do you do to be able to say, okay, I'm recognizing what's no longer serving me. I recognize that it requires me to have what? Deeper understanding of your values and your goals and your well-being. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to just dismiss how you're feeling. Give yourself grace and opportunity. If you need to roll in, if you need to lock the doors, tell your kids, hey, give me about 15 minutes, or don't even ask them to give you about 15 minutes. You're in your haven. Lock the door and just give yourself grace to just go into your secret place. Go into your secret place, because it matters to us that it's about being honest to who? You. What else, Trisetta? What ways can one acknowledge the areas and what habits they can now find themselves creating around this?
Yeah. So once have really gotten to a place where you are embracing this concept of self-awareness, there's certain things that you want to go through the process of kind of assessing, if you will, right? So your habits. One, I talk about this, as a productivity coach, I talk about this a lot, right? So you want to take a look at what your daily routines and habits are and identify the ones that are contributing in a positive way to your life and career, and also identify the ones that aren't really serving you well.
Yeah.
Right. So,
That
ask
part.
yourself the
Yes.
question, which of the habits do I, maybe make a list, as you can think about like the things that you do on a consistent basis, any routines you have, any habits that you have, and take a look at it and say, which of these habits align with my goals and my personal values, and which of these habits maybe are sabotaging to where I desire to go, or they hinder you, they serve as roadblocks.
That
And by
part.
doing that, then you can say,
That's
all right,
good.
then you can take a look at how do I now create new habits that to replace the ones that weren't serving me? How do I create new habits that then will serve the direction that I'm trying to go?
I like that you said that. And when you know that you're wanting to develop these new habits, you want to do it in a space where your energy is level. And let me put some context behind that, because you could very well be in a very distressful situation or circumstance. Life events happen to many of us. Lots of things happen. I can get an unexpected call and it may throw me off my whole equilibrium and I want to just unplug. And you have the right to do that. You have the right to just say, you know what, I'm going to take a breather. I'm going to walk away, because you don't want to go ahead and continue on as though that then just happened, that you didn't just have this unexpected call. Maybe someone just told you that a family member just died, heaven forbid. Or perhaps you just got a notice from your work that today's going to be your last day. How do you overcome and then say, now you want to talk about creating new habits? How do I do that? Right? So this is something you don't want to do alone. Relationships, I want to prompt you to do this. Evaluate your relationships. Sometimes having a nice hybrid inner circle of individuals who are specialized in certain areas, and maybe they're not. It could be your peers. It could be maybe different specialists as far as their background when it comes to therapy. What I'm getting at is, even when you're evaluating not just your professional, but your personal, you want to consider, am I on the right path? Am I maybe going 10 steps backwards, or am I moving at least 2 steps forward? So I want you to be able to know this. Ask yourself this question. Are there relationships that bring, number one, positivity and support? We were talking about earlier, there's, even in the past 2 decades, maybe a little bit over that, when it comes to emotional intelligence and how are you maybe responding to certain things that happen to you without being dismissal or without even expressing yourself. You want to be able to have the ability to express yourself, because it matters, because you don't want to contain it. And we can talk about that and what that maybe impact you in terms of your body, your health, and your well-being. But most importantly, we want you to be able to know, are there toxic dynamics that need addressing or releasing? Look at your workspace. Look at even your home. Look at your relationships. Look at your inner circles. I'm sure you guys have a plenty of examples. You've been probably holding on to a bag of relationships, and you know to be true, whether it be business relationships or personal. You know to be true. Maybe not. It's not serving you. So how do you release that? How do you release that? That's the way you want to release it, by incorporating some ability of bringing in positivity and some sort of support. Do not go through this process alone. There's a period where you do want to go through it alone to just release, or the word that you said earlier, emote, where you want to just go ahead and just withdraw or unplug and give yourself the opportunity to just yell it out, shout it out, whatever the case may be for you. You don't want to contain it, because our body holds on and then to so many emotions that we go through on a day-to-day basis. And then once you've gone through the healing, you don't want it to where, how do I handle it if it gets triggered? If I get
Yeah.
triggered again,
Yeah.
right?
And we always provide practical strategies. So after we get through kind of all the different areas for you to reflect on,
Yes.
we'll share with you some strategies for going through the process of letting go. And, one of those is giving yourself space to,
Yes.
I said that I was going to emote after we're done with this live stream because since we're talking about relationships, one of my best friends sent me a message this morning saying that she wants to take a step away from our friendship because she feels like we're going in different directions right now. And
Wow.
while
Well, wait a minute. How many people can relate to that? Go ahead and let us know your story on getting unexpected relationship news like what Trisetta just shared.
yeah, and I completely understand, and I feel I've been feeling kind of the same tug. And so while
Mhm.
I logically understand there's still emotions that rise up because
Emotions.
this is my friend. And so
Yes.
we're not trying to say that when things end, that
Yeah.
you just go la-di-da, um,
Like it goes normal. Like it's
go
okay.
into
Well, let me keep it
oh, it's a
moving.
new beginning. And it's like,
Right.
you still
Mm-mm.
are going to have feelings that come up no matter what
Still
it
gonna
is
have
that's
feelings.
going on. And so you want to allow space, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you want to allow space for you to feel all of the feelings that come up, whether it is sadness, anger, grief, all
Yes.
of those things, like whatever those feelings are, allow yourself the space to feel that.
Allow it. And
Yes.
I think that's a lot of our problem right there. We hold on to so much resentment and grudges, and just the emotion then takes the better part of us versus
Hmm.
us taking control of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so let's talk about it. The main thing I think a lot of us can maybe be familiar with it, but are we putting it into practice? Your mindset. Examine your thoughts throughout the day, even the patterns specifically. What patterns and what is your belief systems? And if that's because you have a life event come along, does that completely just shut down your belief system on, is it going to get better again? Or you just find like life is just cutting you all kinds of bad cards. So now I'm no longer going to be serving myself in a positive pattern. I'm going to go ahead and let this emotion contain me. No, identify mindsets that, number one, you want to still feel empowered. You want to still be able to disrupt and say, okay, I know that I've gotten this expected note. I got this phone call. You don't want to be girls no more. I get it. I see you and I hear you. Now let's go ahead, and I need to identify how I'm going to empower myself and improve my ways so that I can now step out and become that bigger, better version of me, and not limit myself because of what I just found out or what just came to me as impacted news. Ask yourself this: do my current mindset, yes, align with the person I want to become, or are they basically holding who? Me back? Think about it. Meditate on that and really bring it in. And then another way you want to also identify is energy drainers. Ooh, how many of you all can definitely identify when you're getting a call and you see the number pops up on your screen or maybe on your desktop? You're like, oh man, if I stay on this call. I remember times where my husband would say, if someone comes on, because Brian would get calls because he's really great at, people come to him because he's a great problem solver. So he sees that someone that comes on their phone, he knows it's going to be at least a good hour conversation. And he's the type of person that will give you that if his spirit is ushering in to do so. But if he feels like he's on something else, how do you know that it might be an energy drainer type of conversation that's going to come through? Identify activities or commitments that you constantly find yourself draining your energy from or to. Recognize the difference though. I need you to recognize this because your health matters. Not only that, but your mental. Your mental is the huge deficit that may get impacted the most. And you don't want that to happen. You want it, if it does happen, how long are you going to get it to sit in that rut? So the goal here is you want to recognize it so that you can be able to navigate between challenges, and most important, to contribute the part of you to grow. You want that human part of you to continue to grow, as well as your mental and your spiritual part. So this is what I want to challenge you. I want to prompt you to do this. What activities or commitments consistently basically leave me feeling drained? And do they align with my overall well-being? Think about it. Maybe some projects at work, or maybe even within your business, or maybe even at home. Really dig in. Get a book, a journal, or a notepad. I want you to title this as what activities or commitments that constantly just kind of feel like it just leaves you hanging, and it's not coexisting with what you're mapping to imply as higher values within your current situation. I want you to consider what needs to be adjusted. I also want you to consider, is it needing to either basically leave it so that way you can live a greater alignment? Start doing these things. I want you to reflect. Give yourself the opportunity to start doing more reflection. Oftentimes we just speed on through our day and we forget that part of us needs to unplug and pause. So make a dedication to that. Let it, what ways can, because I know you're really great, Trisetta, and really giving opportunity as we want to be able to give time to share with others the breaking news within breaking boundaries, some of the changes that we're going to be going through, the main game changer. And I want you to hold on to it, everybody, because hold on to your seats, that is, because we're going to share that with you. But meanwhile, I want you to share with them, Trisetta, what ways can they prompt to go even deeper when it comes to reflection around this arena of realigning and releasing?
So this should be no surprise to anyone because we talk about it all the time.
Yes.
Is to journal, right? Get a journal.
Yes.
Ask yourself open-ended questions like, what aspects of my life bring me joy and fulfillment? What areas do I maybe feel stuck or unfulfilled in? Maybe even like what kind of habits, like what habits and relationships have really evolved over the last 12 months. So go through the process of writing that out, journal about it, journal about specific experiences, feelings, realizations, aha moments that you've had over the period of time, because as you go through the process of journaling, it helps to provide clarity for you, as well as it kind of serves as a tangible record of your life journey and how you've grown and how you've developed as a person. I know I've been journaling, diarying, keeping a diary off and on for almost my entire life. And I know sometimes I will pull out an old journal and just randomly open up a page and read what was going on in my life. And sometimes it's really empowering to see how far I have come from where I was back then. Right. So
trust me, especially back in the telephone days, and I may be telling our age. And when I mean by telephone, the landline and maybe the beepers. So if you're going back into that arena and then bringing yourself back to here and seeing the huge transformation, and it's just been in a short period of time. If you think about it, it wasn't back in as though I'm talking about beyond the point of what, the early 2000s. I mean, that's still within
like in the 90s. It's when we started
late 90s.
In the 90s we started transitioning. But yeah, so of course, we always have some strategies for you. We got some tips. So we have 3 strategies to share with you for helping you to go through the process of letting go. And the first one is to cultivate acceptance. Right? We were talking just a moment ago. Acknowledge whatever emotions you are having. Allow yourself to feel them. What we tend to want to do is shove down uncomfortable emotions. We want to kind of sweep them under the rug, and that is not healthy because eventually they're going to come out. And
they're going to come out.
One of the things that my former pastor used to say is, what's in you abundantly will come out eventually. Right? So if you shove down all these negative emotions, eventually it's going to come out, and it's better for you to allow the feelings to pass through you rather than for you to bottle them up, because then they're pressurized and they're going to come out in an explosion, right? So acknowledge your emotions, allow yourself to feel them, practice mindfulness, embrace change, recognize that change is inevitable. Things never stay the same. They're going to change, right? So embrace this new start, this new beginning, no matter whether it's personally or professionally. And then, of course, you do some affirmations, positive affirmations to help support you in the direction that you're going.
I like that. And, as you're sharing all of that, what comes across my mind is, what kind of ritual? How do I create a release ritual? I was hearing through a conversation with my recent onboarded new client. He was listening to a TikTok, and it was, I don't know if you all are huge on numbers, but 111, the day of 111, people were huge on 111. And basically on one part of the paper, you basically write all of your goals, big goals, maybe goals that just thinking bigger about yourself, whatever desires that maybe is to be able to reap, or you want to be able to sow. And at this point, you're basically wondering, am I in the right headspace? Am I going to go ahead and maybe have disbeliefs? Writing it all down. And guess what? On the opposite side of the paper, write down the 10 things that you're willing to sacrifice, which is maybe a huge challenge for a lot of us. What symbolic acts can you do? That could be a major one that I just shared, where you visualize everything, all your goals, you write it down, as Tracetta say, maybe journaling it, but really taking heed and being intentional. So this way it helps you declutter physical spaces. That could be another thing, but let's talk about decluttering within yourself. So the 10 sacrifices that you're writing down in the back of the page, whatever that may be, it could be friends, it could be inner circles, it could be peers, it could be your, I don't know, maybe you want a new boss, maybe you want to become a boss, or whatever the case may be, you want to create some sort of releasing, how to create it, releasing ritual. So doing that, you then fold the paper forward to you, because you want the goals to come to you. And you want your sacrifices to be also released so you can identify with it. And that's just a symbolic way of showing an act of love and embracing that. Now you're entering in, you're releasing, and you're becoming this new creature. You're becoming this new being, this new what do they call it? We're this new, what is it? Homo sapiens? I don't know what they call us in scientific worlds.
Yes, Homo sapiens.
Yes, so AKA humans. So basically, how are you now defining your new being, of not just your physical self, but also your spiritual self? Now, let's talk about declutter in the physical spaces. Oh my goodness.
Wait, before you go on, I want to share 2 other ways that you can do kind of like release rituals. I did, for my 50th, I went to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic with friends, and I did a releasing ceremony while I was there. And what I ordered some dissolvable paper from Amazon, and what I did was one night, my first night there, we my friends and I went down to the beach, and we sat down and wrote on our paper all the things that we wanted to release, all the things we wanted to leave behind and not take back with us. And then we released it into the water, and the paper just literally just dissolves. It's a special type of paper. I've also done this with regular paper and burned it, right? As a symbolic act of it letting go. So those are just a couple of other ways that you can do release rituals.
I love that you mentioned that, because oftentimes people think that they have to face the person or the problem. You can face the person and the problem by doing it in their absence. And what Tracetta just said is super powerful. You're symbolically just putting a visualization into motion that you no longer reside here, and you're no longer a part of me. And another thing you can do for those who are in the physical, how do I get rid and declutter not just your physical spaces, but also your environment? Listen, I'm a huge decluttering person. I believe our creator, he comes from a sense of environment of order and of structure. He was able to develop all of this in 7 days. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what is maybe holding you back in your physical space? Whether it be in your home, whether it be at work, get a box. Start taking all the knickknacks that you collected throughout the years in your workplace. Maybe even get a whole new desk. Whatever the case may be, you want to be able to declutter anything, any residue that's holding you to hold on to any kind of resentment. Most importantly, you want to be able to transform yourself mentally. Go ahead and transform yourself physically by decluttering around your environment that's holding you, that's overwhelming you, and creating an environment that doesn't even allow you to usher in the best version of you. How can you come up with witty ideas or even want to promote yourself if you're still in a decluttering type of environment, whether it be, like I said, at home, where things are just piling up? You have no time to even think. How can you even think clearly? You want to be able to develop certainty. You want to be able to develop more clarity. Then start decluttering your physical spaces. Let us know in the comments that you're going to go ahead and start removing some of these if you're the type of person, your garage is definitely may have been your releasing big garbage disposal, then you may want to go ahead and maybe hire someone. And I promise you, there's so many people who have no problem because they may have an OCD that's going on steroids. This is what they do. They enjoy decluttering for you. So maybe invest in having maybe your friends. What else can we add on this area? I know I kind of sat here for a while because sometimes, and we'll talk about how you could set boundaries once you now declutter because you don't want to reclutter again, because now you want to set boundaries to yourself. What other arenas can someone actually find themselves to saying no more cluttering?
Your digital space too. So not just your actual physical space, but you can declutter your digital space as well. Go through and delete photos that you have on your phone or on your device, that because you know how sometimes you're trying to get the perfect photo, so you take 10 of them. Well, you don't need all 10 of them on your phone. You just want the one that's the best one, right? You know, so you can go through, and if you have tons and tons of photos and files like I do, it can be overwhelming to try and do it all at one time. So set aside maybe 10-15 minutes every day to work on it, whittle away at it until you get it under control. So that would be something that I would say. And then like from a boundaries perspective, you know, you want to set boundaries in your relationships. You want to set boundaries in your work. You want to set boundaries even in your physical space. One of the things that I did some years ago, because I had way too many clothes and I hardly ever wore the majority of them because I didn't even know it was in my closet.
Oh my gosh.
So I bought a certain number of hangers. I think I bought 50, and I was like, you have 50 hangers and that's all you have. Once the hangers were full, if I wanted to bring something new in, I had to get rid of something old.
That's a good strategy.
That's one of the ways that you can set.
So
get creative in setting boundaries.
That's a great way to setting boundaries, because now you're giving yourself limits, and you're not more so limits. You're just becoming more intentional.
Yes.
You're becoming more intentional on what you may have created as a unusable type of habit, to now being more of a disciplinary, great habit to have. Because then it's going to create a different version of you to continue to emerge into this world that you're looking to co-create with others. So it gives you a peace of mind at the end. Now let's talk about peace of mind, because oftentimes we neglect focusing on self-care and growth. How do you prioritize your self-care today? Knowing that you may have gotten all these life events and now you're just now don't get me wrong, there's no problem. There's no wrong in wanting to unplug. I just want you to give yourself grace to unplug and do it with structure, do it with planning, do it with a plan, with intentions again. Set new goals, and sometimes if setting new goals may be a challenge for a lot of folks, then maybe get support around how to be more productive, how to create these milestones, how to be able to do it with a way where it's mini milestones that's going to get you to your bigger picture. Maybe getting professional help who specialize, like Trisetta, girl, she's the one for you when it comes to re-strategizing and regrouping and creating those goals and making it obtainable, so you don't feel that you're at the edge, about to lose your mind, heaven forbid. We want to be able to bring this home with you all. Let us know if this has been massively helpful and beneficial to you as we're wrapping up and closing in on this huge way of, because it matters to us that you're finding ways to create strategies, and most importantly, because we want you to grow into that better version, that bigger, better version of you, so you can let go of the old and out with the old and in with the new. And in order to do that, you may even want to go back and replay this, because we just dropped so much, didn't we, Trisetta?
We did.
We just dropped so much.
Very meaty episode. Very meaty episode.
It really is. And speaking of meaty, we want you all to even embrace certain areas. When I was talking about honey, when you taste it, for those who may be honey tasters, I love honey with my tea. Honey is very sweet. However, when you place honey in areas maybe on the table, like maybe you poured too much and then you put the spoon as you first finished stirring your tea and you placed it on the counter and you forgot about it and you came back, and then perhaps you were doing something and you find your hand now being sticky because you placed your hand to grab something else near that area and then it was sticky. So you're like, oh, what is this stickiness? Mind you, this is the same sticky element that you love with your tea. Where am I getting at? There's always going to be a positive and a negative. The goal is you don't want to just always milk in when things are great, when things are lively, and when things are just going just to the right direction. How do you deal with it when it's also sticky? Go back into the replay, and the replay will help you move some of the uneasy, uncomfortable, and how to navigate, because that's the part of life. Life is a big old school. And then let me go ahead and break and share with you all, because I know you all been waiting for this. What is the breaking news? What is the updates that we're gonna help you roll out? And again, it has some bittersweet, but I promise you, transition always does.
Yes, it does.
It always does. It's not supposed to always give you roses and peaches. However, you want to embrace it, and you want to channel yourself to continue going into the right direction. So as we were sharing with you these unique challenge strategies, we want to share with you, we've been together. If you've been following us for now over a year, or if you just started following us, myself and Trisetta have taken this partnership of breaking boundaries. We started off, remember, I started off just doing it as a challenge.
Right.
I was challenged by,
it was supposed to be three live streams. We started, it was just going to be a 3-part live stream series. That was it. And here we are. We're episode 60 something now.
We're in the 60s, the low 60s now. Yeah, 61 or 62. I lost count, but I'll get back and let y'all know. Yeah. The point where I'm getting at is we've been in this journey now where some people cannot do it on their own. There is always the power of one more. I do believe that by Ed Millett. Sometimes the caveat, it's not a caveat. Sometimes you might find that your alignment may cause you all to grow in different direction, but still find each other, still connect. Because where I'm getting at is breaking boundaries is going through a transition. And Trisetta, as much as I love you, and I know you have bigger and greater things, and you have amazing news to share as well, she will be departing from our Breaking Boundaries podcast. She's done incredibly well with us. She's embarked us with exponential wealth of knowledge, not only on productivity, not only on well-being, but having a well balance of all of that put together and carrying your ambitions to the next level not in your business, but also in your life, and then also in your professional as well. So as much as I love you, girl, I am going to be the first one to say I'm going to miss you, but we're going to still be in connection. Oh, yes. And we're still going to be part of this evolutional of this breaking boundaries, moving on to greater heights. And it's still going to grow. It's still going to be here. It's just now we're going to lose our beacon of light that we've been channeling with you all. And she'll share with you how you can maintain your connection with her, how you can definitely continue on if you may have questions. But breaking boundaries, I salute you. We thank you for being with us here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for dealing with my ups and downs and who I am and how I'm going through my self-discovery, child. I know handling me, and my husband could tell you the story, but just being part of our partnership, gotten to know you and you getting to know me, even though we knew each other before the Breaking Boundary partnership. But this gave us a new awareness and a way of seeing each other in a different angle. Anything you want to share to the audience as we wrap up here? Because I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. I know I am.
I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Well, I'm going to miss you in this way, right? Like we're still
in this way.
Let's be clear. We're not ending our friendship. Yes. Just in case anyone was wondering, nothing happened between us where we're not fighting with each other or anything.
Negative.
The last several months have been extraordinarily challenging for me as I've been caring for my father for the last 2 years who has dementia. And specifically the last 6 months have been, as he's declined, have been just very mentally and emotionally draining, so I took a step back from my business and some other aspects of life to really do some reflecting. So the same things that we're talking about today, I've been doing those individually. And I'm making some shifts and pivots in my business that one, don't allow me the capacity to continue to co-host with Ruth, the Breaking Boundaries podcast, but also the direction I'm going in my business. It doesn't really align with the framework that we've created for the podcast. And so it's with with sadness that I step away, but also joy to watch
Listen,
Ruth and Breaking Boundaries continue to go on and soar and grow and develop into what it will become. And, and listen, I'm always on call. If you want me to come back for a guest episode, I'm happy to do that.
I'll hold you to it.
I'm definitely happy to do that. But I will say to you, Ruth, thank you for tapping me on the shoulder to even begin this journey together. It has truly been an honor and a privilege to spend this time with you, consistently week after week.
Girl, did you realize it went by so fast? I don't even feel like it's been a year.
It doesn't.
I really don't. It don't even feel like it's been a little over a year.
It feels like we just started, but we have been, faithfully coming together each week, not only to go live, but to plan the content and to strategize.
People don't tell you all behind the scenes of podcasting. It's strategy. We got to go through the strategy. We got to meet each quarter and even every week.
Creating content and all that. So it's been, we've spent much more time together, and that has really deepened our friendship. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. And I look forward to watching our friendship continue to grow and blossom in this new way.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I'm just anticipating nothing but greater for you. Thank you again for even accepting the olive branch of wanting to be in this co-creating environment so we can help basically impact and transform all of this that we are sharing and embarking. Is not just for us, it's most importantly for you all, the hearers and the doers who immediately takes action after listening to every episode and messages us and puts comments below. We go back and we recognize and identify that. And we appreciate you. I appreciate you, Trissetta, for collaborating as well. It's been a wonderful and a spectacular journey overall. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change any minute or every second or any second of it whatsoever. Let us know, did you get anything out of our journeys together? If you may want to know how to catch up with our journey, those are still going to be there. They're not going anywhere in the cloud. They're going to be part of YouTube, part of LinkedIn, unless heaven forbid. But these are the times that you want to go back and catch up and want to be able to get familiarized with the Breaking Boundary 1.0, how we initiated, how we started off together, how we developed, and how we now co-creating and still creating just in our own different pathways. And I'm excited for you, Trissetta. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you. Thank you, my spiritual sister. It's been nothing but joy working together in this space and giving you the opportunity to share your incredible stories and values and impacts on how to transform not just the lives of these whatever platforms that we're in, but also to embark and increase to attaching yourself to the better version of you. So I salute you and I appreciate you. So everyone, thank you all for chiming in. I hope you got a lot from our episode today. Like I said, you may want to go back and catch the replay. And until next time, everyone, I'll see you then.
Join and subscribe with career strategist Ruth McCracken and business strategist Trissetta Washington to the Breaking Boundaries podcast each week. You too can experience the limitless potential of rewriting rules and creating an extraordinary future for yourself.